We are ready. We are recording.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, guys. I'm Lyra Replinger. I am from the University of Chicago as a co-director of the Pediatric Hearing Loss and the Cochlear Implant Program. My background is in deaf education, and I know many of you and have met most of you, but in the past 5 or 6 years, I've really been involved in early intervention and the birth to 3 and really working with families that have just been diagnosed. So this training was developed when I was a child's voice, and a couple of the parents, actually, Maria and Allison and Carrie, have seen this presentation. It's really just about understanding what the family's concerns about reading to their child, especially at an early age, and how to get infants and toddlers more involved in reading, because really literacy is the foundation. I know if you guys as parents and having children with hearing loss, you know all of this, and you've probably been through the early stages already. So I'm preaching to the choir when I talk about how important literacy is. This is the presentation that Allison and I will be presenting to the families during our parent meeting. So we wanted, as guides, we wanted you guys to see what we're putting out to the parents, and I think it would be a great way for you guys to reinforce this as well. Okay? So you guys, because we're parents, we know all of the great reasons for literacy and why it's important. It's a bonding time with parents. It's introduction to listening and language. As a therapist, we're really looking at some joint attention, meaningful eye gaze, increase in vocabulary. So those are some of the reasons why literacy is important. This presentation came about after a parent seminar where we had told parents, make sure to read to your child, and parents were coming up with these confessionals like, well, my child doesn't sit still, and my child doesn't, let me hold the book, and my child doesn't listen to everything. We realized that when we were telling parents to go home and read, this rocking chair picture is what they had in their heads. And if they couldn't create this scenario in the home, they thought they were doing it wrong. And that was just a huge mistake from the therapist's point of view. And so this is how this presentation kind of came to life. So when we tell parents to be sure to read to your child, it doesn't have to look like this. Although it would be great, but some children just don't have the attention span for something like that. And so there's other ways we can do that. Usually it looks like this. The kids are running away from the book. Parents told us what their concerns was regarding literacy with their child. The child doesn't sit long enough to finish the story. I think we've probably all been there, too. The child's not interested in the contents of the book. Or, the child just wants to hold the book. How can I read to my child when all he does is he keeps grabbing the book? And so we really went through and we talked about what some of those concerns were. One of the things that we really want to hone in is that there's just some simple tips to reading to infants and toddlers. Reading to infants and toddlers is so different than reading to a first grader and a second grader because, it's not necessarily about the print or even the pictures in the book. It's about your expressions, your different voices, your different faces, how much you're making it fun for them. And sometimes, we have parents who are really who can easily be animated, and we have parents that just because of their personality, they're not like that. So they may need a little bit more coaxing, a little bit more, you have to recognize that that's not really in their comfort zone, but that, every little bit helps. Making reading a part of the routine. So when you're going into those homes and you're talking to the parents, just kind of gaze and look around. Are there books on the floor? Is there a book basket? Is the bookshelf something that the child can easily manipulate, those types of things. reading stories again and again is also important because once, as a parent, we're sick of, if I have to read Where the Wild Things Are one more time, I'm going to go crazy. But it's our child's favorite for a reason because it's predictable and they are successful at it. And they're really understanding it. And associating reading with pleasure, so it's never go to your room and read a book. And you can associate reading with pleasure also by having the child observe you reading as well. This slide talks a lot about, when you're reading to a child with hearing loss, it may not be this rocking chair moment. It may be something where you're face-to-face. Looking for books with simple pictures first, and don't even worry about the print because you're going to create that print for them because you know what your child's language level is. So if you're looking at a picture and the boy is wearing a blue shirt, relating it back to something that's real to them. So finding books about, if you guys go to the zoo and then, you find a book about the zoo, it's about, remember when we did this and remember when we saw that, and adapting the language as needed. So when I was at Child Voices, our parents of early intervention participated in a literacy critique, and this is something that I would love to do on a really big scale, possibly with Guide by Your Side family, so we can definitely brainstorm and see if we can do this. But this was a really, really fun project where parents came together and we talked about this, and we talked about what reading was like for our toddler. And then we went around, and each parent got to choose one or two books, and they critiqued it. They actually went through and they said, this book is good for my child because it's this, this, and this, and this book isn't really that great for a child, for my child because, it was too small or, it wasn't big enough or the pictures weren't real enough. So the parents really kind of took control, and they were able to choose and realize that not all board books are created equal. Some of the negative findings that they would find in books that were board books or that were in the, toddler section of Barnes & Noble was some stories were too long because if it started with a ton of time and you have an 18-month-old that, doesn't sit for more than 2 seconds, then that was not going to work. Some stories had unrealistic pictures, and then some books were a little bit too flimsy that it wouldn't last more than like one read. And we've all seen those. We've all seen what happens to those. But they had some positive findings too. Realistic pictures for the toddler age, sturdy board books, a good size so that the child would be able to hold the book. Familiar content, we talked about the zoo and how, like, if you had just gone to the zoo and you found a zoo book, that would probably draw a child's attention more. And then also appropriate length of a story. We're not reading War and Peace. We just need to keep it, at their attention. So once parents, in this workshop that we did, once parents knew what they liked and what they didn't like about the children's book, they got to work. And this is some of the panel of parents that we had. And what they're doing here is that they're creating board books. These were blank board books that were purchased on the Internet. And in the span of 2 days, parents collected pictures of their child and started to brainstorm of a topic or of a book for their kids. Because let's face it, toddlers are interested in one thing. They're interested in themselves. So if nothing else, if they opened the book and they saw a picture of themselves, that was, that was success. The purpose of making these books was to just get them interested in the book. I like using the board books because I think toddlers, their sensory, if they can feel a board, they're going to relate that to other things. So I know that some families were using photo albums and things like that, but there's nothing like, holding one board book and comparing it to another board book. And I think that a toddler definitely relates to that. We had some great topics of books that parents came up with. They came up with My Favorite Things, the Opposites book. Allison, I think you did that one with Eli, and she also incorporated pictures of the siblings of Max, so that was a really great way to, include siblings as well. My Family, A Day in the Life, so those were just fantastic. And every time I take this presentation on the road, people are just, they're so excited to see, what the finished work is. If I could go back in time, I would videotape the reaction of how these kids, how the children loved the books, and because, we had stories of, they really loved seeing the pictures of themselves. They were immediately engaged, in a couple weeks, the books to school and they were torn and tattered and they were loved, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. We wanted to see them completely loved, because that means that they were looking at them and they were interested in them. This is the listing for the materials. It was bearbooks.com. I planned this workshop with Terry, so it's no secret that she's a stamper extraordinaire, so I didn't have to look too far to find adhesive and scrap paper. So that is what we did.
Hey, Lyra, do you remember how much the board books were?
The board books were about $1 a piece. And when I went on eBay, I actually wrote a note to the lady that was selling them and told her what my purpose was. So I think she knocked off, the shipping price. She put shipping was free or something like that. But the board books were about $1 a piece. I don't think they're any more than that, especially those small ones.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm. And I talked about this a little bit before, why board books. They're sturdy. It feels and looks the same as other books. And the personalization makes it really attractive to the kids. And they can love them for a little bit without having to be too, they don't have to be too careful with them. One thing that I thought about after the experience was the types of pictures that were being used for the board book. So I really want to talk about some of the action shots for a child's storybook. Using action pictures instead of pose pictures lends itself to much more language than, pose shots. So, when we're looking at some pictures that are not necessarily scrapbook worthy, they really could actually be something that that allows a child to have more language about it. I tell families that if you've got your camera and your child is interested in this one rock that they're holding, then you're taking a picture of that rock, so that you can go back and you can talk about that and say, remember when you were holding this? So, and then taking multiple pictures. Let's face it, many of us have digital cameras right now, so, taking 2 or 3 pictures at a time isn't going to kill you as far as developing. So but taking more than one picture allows you to capture the action and the emotion of the event too. So this is what I call the perfect picture. These are my kids. And really, if I put this in a board book, there's really nothing to talk about except that they're sitting and they're quiet, so mommy's probably smiling in the background somewhere. But there's nothing memorable about that, for them anyway. But if you're taking, if you catch them while they're doing something, especially when they're not watching, or when they think you're not watching, that's the best, because they're just like, they're so surprised that this was captured in time for them. So, taking close-ups and taking, farther out pictures, capturing their expression. So if I would have stopped taking pictures at the first or the second one, I would have never gotten the third one. And that's, one of those expressions that they have for just a second, and then you miss it. And so there's so much language in there. They're excited, they're amazed, things like that. Then we go back and we talk about using print with pictures, because print is essential too. And I think that adding the print in the board books is totally necessary, because if you put a print in the board book, then you as the parent or you as the reader, you're going to make that language that much more consistent. Every time we open the page, we're saying Josue likes his churro. And I think that was a real page, Maria. So we say, the child is hearing that same consistent language. It allows you to use your child's language level as well. So when we set out to find the pictures and make these stories, we also set out in making sure that whatever language we were using wasn't once upon a time, that it was at their language level. And so that would also help engage them as well. And then the repetition of the words and the repetition of the phrases will just allow them to participate in the language even more. But the biggest thing about reading to toddlers is that it's really about enjoyment and exposure. And I think that's the thing that we forget, because, we think of reading and we think of the rocking chair picture way in the beginning of this presentation. But for toddlers, it's just about exposure. And exposure can come in the fact that have books all around them. They have their favorite book. They see you reading. They pretend like they're reading. They take the book and they say, no, mine. And they pretend like they're reading. I mean, all those things are huge successes in reading to toddlers. And so I think that's something that gets lost on parents of toddlers, and especially parents of children with hearing loss, because they're thinking that the other child is probably sitting on a rocking chair with their mother, and that's certainly not true. I think the one thing that we realized when we were doing this is that there was so much of it that wasn't directly related to hearing loss, that it wasn't just the children with hearing aids or the cochlear implants that were running away from the book. It was all toddlers. So how do we get to their world? How do we get to their level? And I think, what is this? I don't think, did I do this? What you learned? Sometimes the parent...
Sorry, Lyra, this is mine so that they can basically pass the learning or the training. So, and then this way, when they go back and view, listen to the recording and view the presentation at a different time, they will answer these questions and email them to me, so I'll know that they participated in the presentation, and then they can again pass it at a later date.
Okay, so we don't have to pop quiz the people now?
Well, what they'll do is I want them to take a look at number one, and then either jot down the answers to these and email them to me, or put them in the chat box and send it to just me, not all participants, and then I can let you know if you're good or not. So, Lyra, if you want to go back to the first one where it was just 1 and 2 and hold there for a second. And so question 1, sometimes a parent won't read their infant because the child won't sit through the entire book. True or false? Okay, I heard from Allison and Marcia. I got you guys. You're good to go. And Marcia, you replied to all.
Did you include all participants? Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure that hit where you see all participants. Hit the little sound bar that can hit the host.
Sorry, couldn't hear you over that. What was that? Hit
So
the what?
next to all participants, there's a little arrow pointing down. Click on that, and then you can just select the host.
Oh, okay.
And it'll get sent privately to me. So then this way everyone will use your answer.
Okay, I get it.
Are you Ginger tonight?
Are you what?
What?
Who we send it to down there and all attendees?
No, just the host.
Ginger Mullen host.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ginger Mullen host. I'm Ginger. Hear me
Right,
roar.
that's messy.
Okay, so hold on a second.
Terry, did you get mine? It's Beth.
No, I do not. Let me back up here.
Am I sending it to the wrong Ginger? Should I send it to
might
Hope?
be. There's, I don't know who's in there. Are there two Gingers you see? It's above all participants
Yeah.
and all attendees, at the very top, there's one that says host. So
Did you get
select
mine
host.
now? I just sent it.
Yes. Very good.
Okay. Yeah, I had it on the other Ginger. Okay.
Yes, sorry. Ginger 1 and Ginger 2. All right, so let me see. Maria, Andrea, good. Allison, I got you both. Okay, now number 2. Reading to your child promotes A, family bonding, B, language building, C, increased attention skills, D, meaningful eye gaze, and E, all of the above. I got Beth and Andrea and Allison on that one.
I think I sent the wrong person to here. I'll try it again.
Okay, you got it. Good job, Janice. Okay.
You want me to go forward?
Okay, yes. Number 3. When the parent is bored with the story, they should pick up a different one to read. True or false? Okay, Andrea, I got yours.
Is mine coming, Marcia coming through or not?
Not yet.
Okay, good then.
Allison, I got yours. Maria, I got yours. Janice, good. And Marcia, I still haven't seen yours yet.
Okay, I'm keep trying it. Maybe I'm hitting the wrong one. Let me try it again.
Are you selecting the host, or because
The host,
if you
yeah.
select the wrong Ginger, you got to select the right Ginger.
Like
So
it says host.
yeah, if you select host, you're good to go.
Okay, that's what
But I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
All right. I will keep reading. Number 4, the most important reason to make your own board book for your infant is A, children like seeing pictures of people and things that they are familiar with. B, board books rock. C, you don't need to have words on the page. And D, it's your book, who cares what happens to it. Now let's pick the most important reason. Because, I know Lyra's thinking letter B there.
You know that.
Uh-huh. All right, Allison, I got you. Andrea got you. Beth, good. Maria, good. Janice, good. Marcia, I still don't see you, babe.
I'm sorry, I keep trying it.
That's all right.
Yeah.
All right, and 5. Repetition of words allows children to anticipate language. True or false? Andrea got you. Beth got you. Janice, good. Allison, good. Maria, good. Okay. So, Marcia, if you just want to email me those couple answers.
Okay.
I think I saw you on 1 and 2, but I never saw you after that.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. I hit something and got out of it, but I'm back in there, but I can't get it to work now.
That's all right. It's all good.
Okay.
So, everything good. Okay, so Lyra, you're finished. Does anyone have any questions for Lyra, or Lyra, do you have anything else to share?
Only that, keep up the great work, you guys. I know that, University of Chicago is really trying to, refer as many families as we can to Guide by Your Side, and the ones that we have been so happy and, feel like it is the answer to their prayers, as one family quoted. So, yeah, I think you guys are doing great. So keep it up.
Okay, Marcia, I saw your response.
Would you
So,
my
thank you, Lyra, for your time tonight. Thank you for everyone being on the call. Again, are there any questions about the timesheets or the outreach reimbursement or any of the stuff that I went on before Lyra presented? Yes, no, maybe so. And just to give you an idea, this outreach, the money that was kind of earmarked for outreach for the parent guides and Guide by Your Side is the 1 to 3 hours of outreach. We have 70 of those set aside. So essentially, 10 parent guides, 70 presentations ranging from 1 to 3 hours is 7 per parent to be done from December through March. So that's quite a bit. So, you know, as far as that goes, there's definitely the hours there. You don't have to be worried about, you know, somebody else taking up all the time and you not getting any chance to do that. The 4 to 7 hour chunk, there's 20 of those set aside. There's money set aside for 20 people to do 4 to 7 hour presentations or whatnot. So, and Allison, the answer to your question is yes. So again, just to reiterate, outreach, whether you are going to a pediatrician office and doing a presentation on the lunch hour to them about what Guide by Your Side is and how you can work with them, how they can refer to you if you're going to a clinic, if you are, you know, setting up a time to work with a clinic and do like a joint parent group. You know, Janice, you know, we talked about doing this with Carl. You know, if you did something like that where you did some type of class, whether it was like a literacy class or whatever presentation where you got to present on Guide by Your Side as well, that works. But you need to turn in your outreach and you need to get it approved before you go. And I know there's only a week and a half left or 2 weeks left of November. If the money comes in any sooner, I'll let you know. For those of you that might be doing things within the last couple weeks of November, as far as outreach goes. But they're pretty sure that it won't get all put through until the beginning of December. So, any questions? If you need ideas for outreach, or if you want to brainstorm some stuff with me, feel free to give me a call, and we can definitely do that. But you know, if the money's there for us to get the Guide by Your Side name out, let's take advantage of it, because after March, it's gone. We have to use it up before that time frame. Anything else? All right, ladies, thank you so much for coming on the call tonight, and I will, okay, hold on. Marcia, you are good to go.
Okay, and that's you? Yeah.
Yes, I thought. And let's see.
Did you get my message?
I did not get your message. Maybe, hold on.
It went to all attendees.
Hold
It was
on.
about the LaGrange Hospital.
No, I don't see the all attendees. Do you guys see her message from Beth? I saw the very one at the beginning, but nothing since then.
Okay.
One of the things that had a question that was raised, the money that you are earning for your outreach is not to offset costs of things that you might need for the meeting. It is for your time for presenting.
Oh.
If there are costs associated with the presentation, such as a fee for the booth, if you're going to be at a conference or an expo or something, then that would be something that would need to be discussed with me to see what we can do for those costs. Okay? Another question that was popped up here, let me see. And Beth, I see your thing now, so give me a second here. An idea where we are with stats. I can definitely do that. Give me a second here, too. And then Beth. Let's you know, for your presentation tomorrow, Beth, if I have to see if we're going to be able to go and backtrack, but that would definitely count as outreach. So, you know, being that it isn't set yet, record everything on the outreach form, and then if it can and we can go back, you know, we will certainly do that. That good?
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yep.
So, you guys want some guide by your sign information for those of you that are still sticking around?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to stop recording because we don't need to record this. But let me